Good afternoon. I would like to call to order this law committee meeting. Today is January the 4th. The year is 2021. Roll call, Miss Lisa.
Councilman Durance Daniels.
Present.
Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell. No response. Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson.
Present.
We have two who are present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, everybody. Hold on. I'm sorry, everybody. Yes, Iana. After my meeting, sweetheart, I got you. Sorry, everybody. If everybody please bow your head for a quick prayer, please. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you for another day. Thank you for allowing us to come together for another year, Heavenly Father. I thank you for bringing us through 2020 into 2021. And once again, we're still here at your will, doing your work, Heavenly Father. And thank you for allowing us to be the vessels to move your vision forward, Heavenly Father. So in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Can I have a motion for the acceptance of the previous law committee meeting minutes from December 7th, 2020?
So moved with any needed corrections.
So it's been moved, and I'll second that. It's been moved and second. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? No nays. Okay, cool. We're just gonna roll into old business. Once again, we're just gonna keep this. Well, like I said, Ms. Jeannie, we'll try to make this meeting as painless as possible. We'll just continue to still talk about those goals. 2021. Looking at our minutes from last week and some of the things that we kind of just talked about, kind of just hit upon. I know for me, one of the biggest things that I wanted to just kind of make sure if we can get all of our street and safety signs just up to regulation, up to code. You know, especially it would be nice if we had all those things in place before the parade. I know Ms. Donna's not on the call right now. But I know we have Ms. Joyce on the call, but I think if we can set that goal by July to have our safety signs up and everything's in regulation, and having a plan on whether we're going to either put them in concrete, you know, just what's going to be that long-term plan to make it where we're not having to tear it up or replace them every couple of years. So I know that's one of my big goals that I have for 2021. Anything that you wanted to touch upon that, Vice Mayor, on that one? Okay.
Not on that particular goal.
Yeah. Like I said, I just want to go down the list and we'll just keep it moving. Ms. Joyce, I just saw you pop on. I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that. If not, that's fine. And then I'll open up to other members of council.
Let me apologize for being tardy. I'm a diabetic, so I have to eat first.
Health is first. Health is first. You're fine. You're fine. I didn't know, and I didn't want you to make it seem like I was trying to put you on the spot. We were just talking about our laws, our safety signs, and just one of the goals I think we can have to set in place by July from this committee is that if all those signs are up and every sign is at regulation height and all those type of things. So,
yeah. I heard you, and it is a part of our goal for 2021 to kind of look at the village as a whole and look at those things under safety. We did visit with sister community in Silverton last week and got some ideas and insights over there. So we will be working with them on anything that seems the right thing to do. But we will work towards getting you something on how we plan to roll this out. While we have Councilwoman Charles Jeter, that would be under kind of her plan of safety and overlaps with beautification of the village. So we will include you on how we're going to execute the strategy of what we plan to do, and then how we plan to implement over the next 12 months or before we get to August of this year.
Sounds great. It's a great segue. Other council members, Linda Child Jeter, did you any thoughts on that?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Powdra, because it does come under safety, and that we can work together on that. The law committee looks at the laws and makes sure that they're in place and make sure that they're enforced. The safety committee takes care of everything that's listed under safety, fire, police, and the safety of the community. It's just about defining the different roles, but that doesn't mean we can't work together. Thanks for putting it out there. We started the signs before you came on, then we had to wait because they were changing. And we did that piece that was under Dumas, so it goes back quite a while. And again, I look forward to working on you with things that pertain to the law part of it.
Yes, ma'am.
Make sure we have all our laws in place.
Yes, ma'am. No, I'm with that. And I think the only reason it got into our committee, because we were talking about regulations, I think it was a certain state regulation. I think we just wanted to make sure we were.
I think it had something to do with the parking up on.
It was the park. It was actually, it started, you're right, Miss. You're right, Vice Mayor. It started with the parking along Leggett and those signs along Leggett and how those signs, and then eventually became a whole thing. And this is where we're at now. So yeah, if we can, two committees work better than one, I guess.
Yeah,
Going back.
hopefully we can make sure that the no parking is painted along there and that those laws are enforced. If they're in place and they can be enforced.
Yes, ma'am.
I have no problem. It's a different year.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
We
ma'am.
can all work together and make it happen.
Yes, ma'am.
And also, I was told that those stop signs are supposed to be 8 feet. And I know I'm 5'1", and I'm about as tall as those stop signs. So we got to get those fixed as well.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. And if that's one more thing we can take off our list, and I love it. I love it. Moving on. If nobody else has anything else on this one, I saw Miss Baber just stepped away. And then Miss Lisa, please let the record show that Miss Laverne has also come into the meeting as well.
Thank you.
Hello, Miss Laverne. Happy New Year. We're just going on our goals for 2021, and we just checked out the first one for safety sign goals, and actually now we were going to slide into one that's going to be a little bit more, probably a more conversation, is the code enforcement goal. And once again, this is probably, I know this kind of just in the safety in some instances. And I think that can be something that we can either do out of this meeting, is just make sure we have a clear, defined role of which committee takes on what, who needs to take on what, and how we go about it. So based upon our last meeting, when we talked about code enforcement, some of the things that we talked about is employing a person full-time in 2021 for that code enforcement role, having that website language that just kind of sits there as well on our website, dealing with, this is particularly making sure that our website language, where it talks about our charter, is updated and those type of things. When we talk about, it seemed like a goal that we've had is trying to make sure that the language has been updated for chief of police and sheriff. But I think we're kind of moving to get that one taken care of. The last two were ticketing vehicles located on the street and then towing vehicles on private property and public street towing. So those were kind of the main goals and policy pieces that we kind of just talked about in code enforcement. So I'll open it up to the floor in this committee and kind of just which two, I guess maybe three, do we really want to focus on and attack? Once again, I'll just go over them again. We talked about employing a person for 2021 for code enforcement, making sure that that language from chief of police to sheriff is solidified. There's no questions on that. Ticketing vehicles located on the street, and then towing vehicles on private and public property. Those are the ones that we talked about last year and carrying them into. So once again, I want to open up to the floor for folks on the committee if you have any thoughts on that.
Sure, I'll speak.
Yes, ma'am.
I think those are good goals. And also, I think with us having a new village manager and her listening to the concerns, I think things are getting done.
Yeah. Ms. Laverne, any thoughts on that?
Well,
I know we've been talking about some of these for 3 years, it feels like, so.
Well, the appointment of code enforcement is not, I don't see that as our goal. It may be something that we want the manager to do as an overall thing, that's administration. But I think that what is important is making sure that whatever language we need to get the cars off the street, especially those on Stephens that have no license plates, right there on Stephens. So, our goal should be the enforcement and the implementation of those things that we already have on the book. You know what I'm saying? To see to it that it gets done and that there is, our goal is to kind of charge the manager with setting whatever that plan would be.
Ms. Joyce?
I have not read what your codes are, but I think that another start place is to make sure that we do have the right legislation and the right codes for the village. And maybe we need to enhance some of them. It's always good to go back and look and see if we need to do some more. And I'm not saying, no, we not do code enforcement. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, let's see if we can strengthen them and do away what we don't need for the village codes.
Yes, Mr. Verne?
I agree with that. I think that we do have things in place. Right now, we have to enforce the implementation. And if what we have in place is not working best for us, we need to use it until we replace it. And we know that there are some things in code enforcement in terms of the law committee that we can look at in terms of shortening the amount of time it takes for the code enforcement to get the job done. Instead of giving our residents 30 days, you give them 14 days. So those are the kind of things we need to look at. So if we're just looking at it and don't change, but we know that time is what is sometimes and is not on our side. So I think as we look at the code, one of our goals could be to look at how do we strengthen the code so that we can address the number one issue of junk cars and vehicles that are on the street that shouldn't be. But we need to implement what we have until we can make it better.
Anybody
And
else?
that's all it-
Yes, ma'am.
92.
Yeah. Miss Linda?
Yes, the code enforcement piece will come up under the manager who is responsible for getting what we need done. The law committee will make sure that the codes are up to where they should be to strengthen them, and to make sure that when you come back to the police that may have to go to that they can actually do that. So that is a problem. The sheriff department may have some rules that are a little different than what we have on the book. So when you strengthen those code enforcement, you strengthen the ordinances or the whatever we have there, then we'll be able to do a better job there. But you also have to empower the manager to take care of that. We don't step over that line.
I agree.
Agreed. Anybody else on this? And I'll just throw my 2 cents in and we can keep it moving. Ms. Baber?
So am I hearing you all say that you want to review the code enforcements as a committee?
Well, it's more so,
Yeah.
yes, but at the same time, making sure that the changes that we make are, I guess, enforced is the best way to talk about it. We've kind of already we've done this in the sense that I'm just going to keep talking about it, the language of chief of police versus village manager and who she designates, right? And having even those things change have been a kind of an ongoing 2-year battle where we're kind of just left in limbo. And I agree with everybody on that. And that's just kind of where my stance is making sure, not just even on this particular code, but just making sure that our language is not contradicting itself in some instances. And I'll just bring it up in this. The last time our code seemed to be working backwards on each other is when we had a 3-2 vote. And we didn't really know how to proceed on it because one part of the language, one part of the code says something and another part says something else. And it's kind of, we get, and I know that just kind of just, I don't want to have the same thing with our towing and our code enforcement pieces where where somebody's now saying where one part of your law says this and another part of your law says that, and then they're fighting against each other. And I think we need to definitely clean that up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
I think the best way though, we need to do it in sections because it's a lot. So we need to figure out which section we want to do first.
So I guess we just focus on 92, which is specifically our yeah. So we'll just stick with 92 and then and kind of just making sure, yeah, just work it through that way. If there's no, I know we got three. I'm just talking. I'm just the chair of this committee. But if the other folks in the committee feel it the same way, we really focus on cleaning up code section 92 and just starting there and just really making sure that's as tight and as clean as possible. And I think the best way to go about it, and then once again, if everybody's working together, we might need to take this to the law, to the safety committee, just on where our lieutenants can also have some input in as well, if that makes sense, Ms. Linda, where some of the folks are from Hamilton County, where they can also be in a part of this conversation where if they feel like our code has some restrictions or is holding them back, that way they could be a part of this conversation as well.
Well, yes, they can. Yes, they can be a part of it. I suggest you go through Ms. Powdrill for that.
Okay.
And can give you better information. If I heard all that, I actually got a text and I was looking down. So at the wrong time, brand new baby, not mine, but a family member. So just arrived. So
a new voter.
Great. No, this is a great niece. Yeah, she will be a new voter. This is a great niece.
All right.
in Texas. So we can work together on this and see what we can do. But I was told by someone from the sheriff department that used to work out here that when he was out here, he actually did do some tagging and some other things, and that there was something in place. Now, where it is, we don't know, because they have changed. Every year we're getting a different person. The first couple of years we had the same person that worked very well out here, and then he was promoted up. So it's about who's here and who knows the community. When that person came on, they were ready to get involved in the community and actually sat on some of our senior porches and visited people. So we don't have that right now. And that's a relationship that we're going to have to form. So and maybe if we look hard enough, we can find out what they did with the things that were on the books at this point. I don't know. That's just information for you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Ms. Laverne?
Yes, so the information is there in 92 all the way. We need to look at 92 all the way up to 96. But we do have something in place. I think that one of the resources needs to probably be Ms. Powdrill, Hamilton County planning. Those who do the zoning, they had come out here some years ago and rode the community and looked at some of the issues that we had. This was years ago. So if we have contracted with them to do some of our building codes and things like that, there's someone there, just like they do their code enforcement, to come out and give us a hand, take a look at what we have. That would be a good resource. And as long as we are implementing and enforcing what we have on the books until we can change it, I think they would be a good resource.
I think so too, Miss Mitchell. I think the key thing is to, like Miss Charles Jeter said, we need consistency in our patrolmen, and people in the sheriff department. I think consistency would help with that.
Yes, Ms. Linda.
I was sitting here thinking, Councilman Daniels, that Silverton also used the sheriff department. So maybe we need to, or I don't need to talk, but Ms. Powdrill can talk to them about exactly what do they do and how they do it, and where we stand with this whole thing. So we want to make some progress this year. Yep. And we want to get the cars cleaned up and things off the yard, the just the whole neighborhood. So that might be a needed conversation. And I believe Ms. Padre is comfortable with talking to the manager over there.
Yep.
Yes, Ms. Laverne.
So another resource, Mr. Chair and Ms. Powder, would be North College Hill. A few
Yeah.
years ago, they came to the state and did a presentation, and their code enforcement is on point. Of course, they have their own police, but we just, once we have our code enforcer, a lot of that will be taken care of. But North College Hill, they have a really good code enforcement program. So that would be another resource you could check.
So good stuff. Anybody else in this conversation? And we'll move on to new business. That's good stuff. So it looks like, just to be clear, Ms. Lisa, for our goals for 2021, one of our goals is to work with safety to make sure that all safety signs are at regulation.
In compliance with our laws.
Oh, yep, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yep. And then the other two that we have is that we will, let me just make sure I took my notes here. I'm sorry, my screen went down. Give me 2 seconds. So the other two will be, ticketing vehicles located on the street, and then towing vehicles on private property and public street towing. And with both of those, next steps will be our village manager will be working with Silverton and North College Hill. We're not working with them, but just reaching out to them and just getting, I guess, will be just a better idea, better clarity, just kind of how they're doing some things, and then maybe some things we could probably implement back here. But that sound good, Ms. Joyce? We're all on the same page with that?
Yes,
Okay.
but one question I have, this is no big deal, but where I live, the police enforce if you have a junk car or something like that. So they will tag and do that piece of it. The code enforcement piece, like if your yard is junky or something like that, another department with the city does that. So I'm just putting out there, we may be talking about a code enforcer, but that piece of what needs to be enforced may sit with the sheriff's department.
I think, yeah, and not to, once again, I don't want to assume. I think where they might be intertwined, and Miss Linda, please, and you have the floor after me. I think where they're intertwining some is, Ms. Joyce, is that we have a lot of junk cars sitting on private property lots, right? So it's like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you see what I mean? So yeah. So
okay.
Miss Linda. Okay, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, my thoughts are that we're going to see that it happens through Ms. Powerdrill. You know, and the goals that we want would be for the safety signs to be up and working. Whatever the sign is, it could be a sign that says the crosswalk out here, which has already been done. But that's up to management. So I'm putting it back in the place where it belongs. For her to deal with the code enforcer, she has to hire someone to do that. And the police can enforce that piece. So our job is to look and see and make sure that things are getting done. So those are good goals.
And then the last one that I had on here is just, as a committee, we're going to continue to look through Section 92 and just make that as efficient as possible. All righty, guys, it's 6 o'clock. So the last thing I have for new business, and this may not even be an issue, but it was just in my mind for Lincoln Heights Day. Are there any new laws or any new ordinances or codes we need to put on the books for Lincoln Heights Day this year? This is why I bring it up. And this is the only reason I don't know. There might be a potential where folks have open containers or might be enjoying an alcoholic beverage in different spots. So, you know, I didn't, like, let's say for instance, if it's along Stephens this year, or if it's along Lindy, it might be in different spots throughout the year. If we don't need to do it, we'll move on and adjourn. But do we need to put anything in place for Lincoln Heights Day where folks can, you know, say we had a beer vendor, somebody had a beer, you know, now open container and those type of things. I'm asking. So, or if we've done that in the past or everything already on place. Yes, Ms. Linda.
I'm going to send that straight to the expert over there, Ms. Mitchell. She's been involved in these things for years. And I believe you do have to have the Board of Health that comes out the check to make sure things are going okay. And there was something that had to do with the alcoholic beverages being dispersed. I'm not going to say sold, but maybe served, but she can give you the best answers there.
Then making sure we don't have to do anything from our end or out this committee.
Well, I guess that depends on what the committee depends on what they want to do in terms of alcohol beverages. I mean, we are not the type of city that would allow that where we have open flask and we have where you can carry your drink around like the city of Cincinnati, because we don't have those kind of businesses. But it depends on the venue that you're going to have it. And so if anybody is going to sell alcoholic beverages, they have to get the license from the state. So they have to go and do that. I think the other legal accommodation is going to be, number one, if you're going to have it on the field, we got to have access. Got to have access to the field. So as you know, right now, parking lot blocked off. What are we going to do? All right. So to me, that's the biggest legal accommodation that we're going to have to find out.
That's true too as well. That's true too as well. Ms. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, last time when me and Ruby put the small, when we put that on, we had somebody there that sold alcohol and they had all the rules, regulations, they had to be listed. The county came out.
Okay.
So I was planning on discussing that tomorrow in tomorrow's Lincoln Heights Day meeting. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Byrne.
So, but are we looking at different venues? Because I think what you were saying, Deron, made it seem like would people be able to walk down the street with these bottles or cups or whatever if we're going to have it in all these different places at different times. So I think that's...
we wouldn't have the alcohol at all those different events for the whole month. That would just be for that Saturday when we have the rides and the parade that day. Yeah, we wouldn't have somebody selling. No, they can go to the corner store if that's the case.
Consume at wherever the place is going to be.
So yeah, okay. And then we can continue to bring this up. You know, the same way what we got our residents working to make sure it's clean. Let's make sure we do our part too. So we can bring this up again next week after the next month after our meeting tomorrow, Vice Mayor, if that's okay with you.
Actually, I was going to have them, the health department people, speak at the February meeting.
Oh, okay.
I can see if they can make tomorrow, but I was going to have them come and speak.
That's fine.
Because we'll need to know that for the people, the booths, everything. So, okay.
So I can push, and that's fine. I'll push this off until March, then out this committee, after the health department speaks and everybody asks those questions in February, then if there's something that we need to do from a village standpoint, then
I say don't waste the time of this committee for that, because you're the chair of that committee and you're also on Lincoln Heights Day. So anything, just make it for that one meeting. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that you would know, you could just share it in that meeting. This way, this meeting, we can straight take care of village business for real.
That makes sense.
Leave that for, yeah.
That makes sense.
I've been acting awful bossy today, so let me fall back.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like you said, there's no reason to hustle backwards. So we can take care of it all in February. So that's good stuff. Going off of my agenda, I think we are on to miscellaneous business. If nobody else has anything else on that. Any miscellaneous business? I don't have any miscellaneous. Well, it's just a random. So I'll save that for Monday. I'll save it for Monday. It was just going to talk about there's a potential spot of a learning center coming out here in Lincoln Heights. So I'll talk about that on Monday. But yeah, if everybody else will move to adjourn, if everybody else has a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it. And good luck everybody on tomorrow in the Georgia vote.
And the next meeting doesn't start to 6:30, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I think Tanya is logging in now.
Yeah, she's logging in now.
Mhm. Okay. Can you hear us, Tanya? Miss Key, I mean.
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, we just finished with our law meeting,
Okay,
so we on break until 6:30.
all right,
Miss
thank
Jeannie-
you.
I didn't want to lead a meeting without sharing with you what was going on.
I appreciate that, because I was just about, because I didn't get in right away, so I was just about to text Mr. Daniels.
Miss
Yeah.
Miss Jeannie, can you do me a favor? If not, I can find it. The link for tomorrow. A couple folks was asking.
You know what, Durant? I went to our website and I let's call because we're being taped right now. So let's
Okay.
go to.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm. Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa, are you still on?
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
I created the Zoom link for Lincoln Heights Day, Respect My Block. How do I put it in a hyperlink? Because last time I did it with no problem. Now I don't know how. I highlighted it, but how do I?
I'm not sure how to do a hyperlink. Matthews might
Because
be.
you do it.
Right
You do
click.
it on yours. It's on. You do it when you send
Well,
it
what's
to
a
us.
hyperlink? I don't know what.
A hyperlink is like when you highlight the Zoom link for us to just click on and it go directly to it.
Oh, I just get it from ICRC and I just cut and paste. And whatever they do,
Oh, okay.
I send it on.
Okay,
Before
because
the right link, if you ever right click it, Miss Jeannie, if you highlight it, right click it, it should, one of those options should say like,
that's what I'm trying to do. So it didn't do that though. And I'm trying to figure out why it did not. Because I'm pulling it up now so you can see. I mean, not somebody can try to talk me through this.
Is Matthew still on? Maybe he can.
Yes, I am still here.
Can you help Vice Mayor Stinson? Because I'm not sure.
What do you need help with?
I just copied and pasted. I created a Zoom link. I copied it, I pasted it. I'm putting it in an email.
Okay.
Where it says Zoom, join Zoom meeting. How do I make that a hyperlink? Meaning able for them to just click that and go directly to the Zoom meeting. Because I know how to highlight it and turn it yellow.
Yeah.
And when I go to the hyperlink, which is the two circle things, and I click it. And it says insert hyperlink. I do that, but then I get this insert hyperlink window that says link to different things. And I don't think I want to link to anything.
Well, usually if you like copy and paste the link itself, it should automatically, like when you send it to somebody, it should automatically
From Zoom,
let
it'll
them
do that.
I've never done it with Zoom before. I'm just going off of kind of what I've done in the past with other things. So, because I don't know if there's a certain way that Zoom has you create a hyperlink from it. So I'm not 100% sure on that.
Whoever sent it to us must know how to, but okay.
Yeah, probably Jason or Tim from ICRC might know how.
It's usually Tim.
Yeah.
And I do get some from Jason too, but a lot of times it's been Tim lately.
I just like to, it's easier for people to click on when it's already hyperlinked. I can highlight it though, but.
So Vice Mayor, I think Matthew was right. Once you highlight it, you copy and paste it, and you put it in the email, the hyperlink won't attach until the recipient receives the email. Then they'll see the hyperlink. Now,
okay, well, I'm getting ready to send it to you, and you tell me how that works out for us.
Okay, which email you gonna send it to?
You tell me which one to send it to.
VOHO.
Okay.
All right.
I sent you one before. Now I'm sending it again.
Okay.
Okay. This is Ms. Key, right? Because I have
it is.
Okay.
And so when you sent it to me, the email that I have has all the hyperlinks in it. And the hyperlink is highlighted. All I have to do is click on it. It'll take me right to Zoom.
You got the email already?
Yep.
And it's already ready to be Zoomed?
Oh, maybe this was the first one you sent me because I got it. Okay, here's the second one. The second one is the exact same.
So you can just click on join Zoom meeting and you'll go to the Zoom meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good. I did it then.
Right
so it works.
So
okay.
it works. It just
good.
don't look like it works from your end because, and it's because of how your email settings are. But once you send it, the computer picks up the hyperlinks and it sends it so the recipient can see it. And so all they need to do is go click on, and you've highlighted where the Zoom thing is. All they have to do is click on it. It takes them right to Zoom.
Okay. Well, that information, please share. But yeah, because I know that sometimes I think it's which email I send it when I send it to Linda though.
Yeah, because it depends on what email account you're using too. Sometimes
Mhm.
there's settings in the email accounts that's in the back that you don't know unless you go and change the settings.
Yep.
That won't let you send a hyperlink or won't change it to a hyperlink because it's kind of intuitive, like it picks up that it should be a hyperlink, so it kind of automatically populates it for you. But
Yes.
if somebody has different emails that they use, sometimes they won't get the link, but then they can always just type in the number into
Well,
Zoom.
you know how at work, when we get a Zoom link,
Yeah.
it says, you know, you could to accept or yes or no or
Mhm.
maybe. I want to learn how to do that so
Oh,
that.
that's an invite. So that's an invite. That's a little different, but I can show you how to do that too.
Okay, we don't have to do this now since this is so live and
Yeah.
people, but I'll call
Yeah.
you one day and you can talk me through that.
Yep, it's just another process, but it worked. I mean, you just basically invite and you put the email addresses in there that you want to send the invites to, and you just click send it.
And that way, when I can't find like an email or something, when I be like Ms. Randolph, I can't find that email, it'll go right to either my calendar if I put yes.
Correct.
And it's another way for her to be able to see who actually
Accepted it.
accepted it.
That's correct.
Yes, that's another reason why I want to do that, because I can never find stuff and I'm like, oh, Jeannie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. I got 10 minutes. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. So it looks like I see that it's 4 of us on the call right now. So Mr. Matthew, we'll start immediately at 6:30.
6:30? Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm here, Tanya. I'm here.
Thank you, ma'am.
Spirit of on time and they're all that.
Mhm.
I got in the house late today though, so I just fiddly-faddling around in the house.
So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're a little early, but I think we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and get started. Today is Monday, January 4th, 2021. We'd like to call the Village of Lincoln Heights Economic Development Committee meeting to order. With a roll call, please, Ms. Randolph. Ms. Randolph, you're on mute still.
I apologize. Sorry about
Thank
that.
you. No worries.
Councilwoman Tanya Key,
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Childs Jeter,
Present.
Vice Mayor Jeannie Stinson,
Present.
Councilwoman Phyllis Baber,
Present.
and Councilwoman Laverne Mitchell.
Present.
We have 5 who are present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, may I ask that you make a correction on the official agenda document to the very title of the document, that it reflects Monday, January 4th, 2021.
Okay.
I failed to make that correction when I sent it to you. I apologize. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
It was on the laws too.
On the law? Ooh. All right, I'll double check on that one. Okay, I've noted it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'll offer a prayer for us today. Dear Heavenly Father, we appreciate you for allowing us to be just in your presence just one more day. We appreciate you for the people who are represented here on our meeting today as we do the business of the Village of Lincoln Heights. We ask that you allow us to do things in decency and in order with full clarity of the business of the village and the things that would be honorable and respectful to you and to your people. It's in your name we ask. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the acceptance of the previous minutes from December 7th, 2020. May I have a motion, please?
I move to accept the minutes from December the 7th, 2020 with any corrections.
I second it.
Thank you. Was that Ms. Baber? I didn't hear who seconded. Ms.
Ms.
Baber,
Baber.
thank you.
Mhm.
It's been properly moved in second. All those who are in agreement signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm-
Ayes have it, motion carries. Was there a question, Ms. Stinson? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, I had a question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thought, is this December 7th or November? I thought one of your meetings we did something different.
So that was the November meeting. We did something different. December 7th, we did have a full meeting. We had a full agenda on that particular day. So
Okay.
we did get those minutes. It was a pretty lengthy meeting. So we did get those minutes, I believe, last week.
Yeah, I got
Before
the
the-
minutes.
okay.
I didn't second or anything because I hadn't read them.
Gotcha. Well,
But,
if you read them and you find any corrections or what have you, let us know. We'll be happy to make that motion or correction at council. It's no big deal. All right, thank you. Was there any more questions? All right, we'll move forward to old business. And one of the things we discussed in our previous meetings, the way I like to run the committee is to always have on the agenda the items that we have already discussed, making sure there's no further discussion or no further information required, or and then to make sure that we are completing the items that we're going to complete. So I always refer back to the previous minutes for the discussion items for the old business items that I keep on the agenda. So the first one is any updates on the 75 expansion. Once again, this will be an item that's on there because we're going through this process of having that activity being done in the village. And until we have completed and we're not working with ODOT or there's nothing else to be done in that area, we're going to continue to just have it here for discussion. Ms. Paldrew?
So I don't have any updates at this time.
All right, thank you. Anybody have any questions on that or any information that they would like to share? All right, we'll move forward. The next item was pavement work on Shepard Lane. The mayor isn't here, and I think the mayor had some information about that. I'm not sure if she shared it. I don't recall us discussing it at the last council meeting, but if she's not here, or Ms. Paldrew, if you don't have any additional information on any pavement work that's being done on Shepard Lane, I know there's still signs out, but I'm not quite sure what the full project is for.
I'll let the mayor give that update.
Thank you, ma'am.
I don't have any.
All right, and I think the same bodes well for the traffic signal. That was the conversation was to look at a study to include a traffic signal at Shepard Lane and Wayne Avenue. I believe Ms. Mitchell had some discussion about that at the last meeting. I don't think that we're going to move forward with doing it, but just wanted to make sure that we have exhausted our conversations about it because it has come up previously.
I think Mr. Willis has his hand up.
Oh, I just saw that too. Mr. Willis?
Hey, I spoke with Laughlin's public service director. And by the way, Laughlin owns 3 corners of Shepard Lane right here. So, and we only own 1, and they're opposed to doing it. I spoke with their public works director a couple weeks ago. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Mr. Willis, I couldn't hear. I just heard you said you spoke to Laughlin. Could you repeat it? I'm sorry.
I spoke with Laughlin's public works director. Laughlin owns 3 corners of that intersection, and we only own 1.
Is that the one at Shepard Lane and Wayne?
Yes, and they're not interested at this time. So I just wanted to
of putting the traffic signal. Okay,
yes.
Then that makes sense.
Okay.
So if it's consensus of the committee, we'll go ahead and take that off of our agenda.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
No problem.
And I think that's where Ms. Mitchell, if I remember correctly, that was kind of where
right.
Ms. Mitchell was leading to. Okay, was that
Yes,
correct, Ms.
ma'am.
Mitchell? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, so we can move that off. The next one, the only reason why I put this back on the agenda was because we had discussion last time concerning our zoning ordinance and our building code ordinance, or our building codes. And it kind of, we were talking about them in tandem. Then Ms. Pope came and gave us some clarification on the two. They're 2 separate items. So I kept the zoning code ordinance, the classifications on there to see if we have any other discussions or if we're looking to move in any other way on our current zoning codes, if they're up to speed, if we need to reevaluate, or what is the consensus of the committee. Ms. Paldrew, did you have anything on that? I know Ms. Pope was the one who kind of brought a lot of the information the last time because of the work that she was already doing.
Well, we kind of talked about that, I believe, in the law committee.
Okay.
And as it relates to enforcement, and we will move forward with the enforcement, but there was this discussion around maybe there needs to be some review, but we're not letting that stop us from implementing code enforcement.
Okay, so that was for building
So under the
code.
law.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So committee, would you like to also
And please
move?
find a council member,
I'm sorry, Ms. Paldrew, would you?
if I misspoke on that,
No, you didn't.
if I
I don't.
misspoke on that, okay. And I'm just asking other council members who were on the law committee if that is correct. Okay.
We talked about,
Yes, ma'am.
we talked about the code enforcer and looking at what it needs to make that happen.
Okay. We also have our zoning codes as well.
Yeah.
So is it the pleasure of the committee to roll zoning codes in with the code enforcement talk in law committee?
No.
I would think, Madam Chair, that the
Yes, ma'am.
zoning codes are going to be a little different in terms of development.
Mhm.
That's not mixed with the law.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Long as we have general consensus, I'm fine with it. So we'll keep it here. I would like to begin looking at that, and I believe in some of the conversations we're going to have a little bit later, I believe I hope the committee would agree with some of the directions that we're going with, some of the plans and so forth and so on, if we can roll those zoning codes into that work as well. So we're going to keep it on the agenda. We're going to keep discussing it because I think the last time I looked at the zoning codes, we were not that we were outdated, but there's been a lot of new things that has come, and we haven't just updated and modified our plans or our zoning codes to reflect new items that we could be benefiting from in the village. Yes, ma'am.
Am I on mute?
No,
Oh,
ma'am.
Okay. So I was thinking when we start discussing and finalizing the plan, that's when even more discussion with the zoning would come in, correct?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm. I'm just double checking since I already missed a whole month.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So I think that when we also talk about the planning and zoning, you know, at some point, and this kind of brings up what you mentioned in your, that was in the minutes, we're going to have to engage the planning commission. We just sort of, I guess, dismiss them because maybe they dismiss themselves, or they're not taking the initiative, or we don't have enough people. But as we begin to talk about planning and zoning, we need to somehow engage the planning commission. We just can't continue to do economic development and then leave them to the wayside. And then when they do have to come into play, they're not sure what's going on.
I agree.
So we really have to, Madam Manager, kind of pull them in. We really need to look at that because that's going to be key.
And Ms. Mitchell, I'm glad you brought that up because that has been our discussion. And when we move down to new business, I'll go into a little bit more detail on that because I'm a proponent of that as well. I believe that all of our committees should be able to work in tandem, working towards a common goal, and our commissions as well. Mm-hmm. And the planning commissions is a strong part of the Economic Development Committee. And we will begin to do some of that work. And I also believe that people don't engage because they don't have activities. You know, they don't feel like they are part of the conversation, or maybe even feel like they're adequately trained. So I think you'll be happy with some of the conversations that Ms. Paldro and I were having just this week, and about moving forward and what direction makes sense to move forward. And then we're going to come back to the committee and talk about what that looks like. And then, you know, as a unit, agree that's the direction that we're going to go. So I think you'll find that we're looking to bring all those pieces together to do some of that work. Thank you, Ms. Mitchell. I appreciate that. Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, just a question as you talk about things and maybe, you know, giving them activities. Those Friday meetings that we have at noon, that'd be opportunity to invite them into those meetings. When we did say it's open up to everybody. So I just want to throw that suggestion out there that those folks on the planning commission, and I would just be good to see their faces as well. If you would like to invite those to those meetings on Friday at noon.
Yeah,
so that's all I had.
And then we can also look at the county to look at what training is going on at the county level as far as planning and redevelopment and things like that as well. All we can do is provide it for them. We can't force them to come, but we can strongly encourage them to meet on a regular basis and work in conjunction with us. So Mr. Daniels, I know that's at noon time, so I don't know everybody's schedule. And I haven't quite met with everybody who's on the planning commission. I do plan to at least meet with the chair, and if there's a co-chair. I just haven't been able to get to that part yet, but we definitely will be doing that. All right, thank you. Any more discussion on those items? Was there any hands up? Okay, thank you. So we'll go on to new business. We talked about the steering committee last meeting. This is something that's not new to the Economic Development Committee or the council. But actually, I'm going to make a motion to table that particular topic and I'm going to make that, I'm going to discuss it first, and then I'll make the motion to table that particular topic, because as Vice Mayor Stinson had mentioned on one of our previous council meetings, the importance for the chairs to work with the village manager to be able to start to come together and planning and kind of leading and guiding which direction we're going. Ms. Powder and I have had some conversations, and some really good conversations. And a lot of the pieces are covered as far as my 2021 goals that I had submitted to the mayor that she had asked us to submit. Part of some of the conversations that we have already been having, i.e. Ms. Mitchell talking about the planning commission and how we bring them on board, how we give them assignments, how we work together collectively. And then I think Ms. Powder did a really good job of going back and looking at and capturing the heart of a lot of the other plans that we had already put in place and paid for and have on the books and just haven't come to full completion yet. And then what does that mean going forward? What can we do to have some projects completed, some goals set, some milestones, some successes. You know, if there was failures in areas, maybe look at those and find out why they failed and why it didn't move forward. And do we still want to move forward with it, or whatever the situation is. So that's the reason why I'm asking for a consent from the committee to go ahead, even though I brought it, I still want to go ahead and table it, because I think the conversation and the direction that Ms. Powder would like to go, I think it makes total sense that we don't necessarily need a steering committee to keep meeting if we're ready to implement projects and we're ready to actually do the work. And so the how it's going to be developed, Ms. Powder and I have already scheduled weekly meetings from now until our next committee. And so what we're asking is that if we can bring back to you guys, this committee, next month, a plan of what that work will look like. And it won't look like the steering committee, but it will look something similar to it. It'll have the same spirit to it, but it will be something that we can actually get on board with, agree with, and actually get some work done. So that's why I'm going to be asking for a motion to table that steering committee. Our steering committee conversation. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Mitchell.
So you're tabling the steering committee meeting, but there's not going to be an appointment of one.
No, not at this time, not the way in which we discussed previously.
Okay, I don't think I was at that meeting. Was that the one I missed?
I think you came in later.
Okay.
I believe so. You came in later.
Okay.
But we will come back to this committee and bring in forth an action item to say, this is how this committee will actually function. And so it won't be an ad hoc committee, it'll be our committee. Our committee will, in essence, be the steering committee or consultant.
That's fine. So
exactly.
we're getting rid of the word ad hoc.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We're using, we're going, and this is what I like about the conversation that we had. And this is to kind of just bring everybody up to speed, because the conversation that we had actually takes our committee back to the true essence of what the committee is for. And I think that the committee being the kind of like the board, or, you know, given the oversight or looking at what direction in which we're going, is kind of steering, making sure we're going in that direction. Do we need anything else to accomplish this goal? You know, what do we need to do? Versus being that steering committee was actually a working committee. We're actually working. We're actually doing a lot of the pieces. At least that's where I was thinking initially. But Ms. Powder was able to kind of redirect my thinking. Yeah. Okay. And it made so much more sense. It really did. It made so much more sense. And that's why I said, I believe this committee will appreciate what she's going to be bringing and what we're going to be working on. And then everybody will know next month what that looks like and how we play our roles in that work.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any more conversations or questions on that? Because I'm going to go ahead and make the motion. I'll make a motion to table the ad hoc steering committee planning development program.
Second.
Been moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you. So we'll move on to action item B, which is 2021 economic development goals. I did submit, per the mayor's request from the chair, what I would like to see for our goals, and with talking with Ms. Powdrill, a lot of those goals were already kind of, oh, I'm sorry. Can I go back, committee? Do you mind if I go back? Ms. Powdrill, do you have anything else that you would like to add to that conversation, our previous conversation about meeting and coming back next month with a plan?
I just, you did very, very good job of explaining the direction. And I just hope that steering committee, this whole way we're going, we will get some of the experts in the areas that we need them to be in to help us move this forward. We can talk about what we want to do all day long, but if we don't have those pieces to help us get there, a banker, an attorney, a construction company, a developer, somebody that knows zoning, those kinds of things, so that we don't keep going down a rabbit trail or, all over the place. My intent is that we stay focused on what we're trying to accomplish over the next several years, so we can complete some things.
Thank you, Ms. Powdrill. I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with that. So, and then the next item is going back to our economic development goals. So I did submit that to the mayor last week and the village manager. But what I did not do is come to the committee and ask the committee for some ideas, some thoughts for those goals as well. So I'm going to ask that the mayor, I know she was looking to present those at our next council meeting, and I'm going to ask if she would hold off on presenting ours until we've had such a time to have more discussion on it, bring more items to the forefront, so that as we're working in our direction that Ms. Powdrill and I were just talking about, we can make sure that we incorporate those goals into that plan, because it's not my committee. I just happen to run the meeting. So it's all of us that can have some ideas for those goals. Ms. Mitchell?
Yes, so Madam Chair, will you send us a copy of what you submitted?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I'll send that out tonight, okay?
Thank you.
You can't share with us briefly right now?
Sure, I can do that. Hopefully I don't disengage myself like I did last time at the meeting. So give me 1 second here. All right, so once again, some of these things don't even matter anymore because we've already tabled them. So I was talking about the goals of creating an ad hoc steering committee, looking at a village chamber of commerce. That's not new. That's something that from our research, I believe the previous chair was interested in working on that. I believe some other council members or committee members had also requested that as well. Let me see. Looking at new business and new homeowner welcome packets to, incorporate welcoming them to the village, and partnering with Respect My Block to develop block captains and activities. I believe that's something that I read in one of the minutes from the Respect My Block meetings. Looking at neighborhood and business awards. Once again, something that's not new, but something that I just wanted to focus on. Looking at community marketing, official village flag, other village marketing items, just to make us look better. Looking at a business marketing plan. So how do we market our commercial sites? Do we have a plan that we can put out so people, if they're looking for businesses, they can look at the Village of Lincoln Heights website and be able to see areas in which they can purchase buildings or lots, for business or what have you. Looking at workforce development plan and resources. Once again, something that's not new to a conversation, but something I wanted to focus on this year. And then the last item that I had on the list was to develop a wiki community for Lincoln Heights or within Lincoln Heights. And basically that's a Wi-Fi for all, making sure that everybody has access to technology and internet. And as I was talking to Ms. Powdrill, as she had gotten a chance to read these things, she had shared with me some of the things that she was wanting to have on our agenda, and they, started to line up. And that's when this whole conversation just started to make sense. Instead of us having our own agenda and village manager working on her agenda, let's everybody work towards that common goal. And we can find areas that we can fit those pieces into that greater plan. The Wi-Fi community is something that I've always been passionate about for a long time. And, this pandemic and the conversation from one of our residents who sent the email about not having the connectivity. So we appreciate Ms. Mitchell for her being able to lean into the areas that she was more strong in, and Ms. Powdrill for researching for our resident who needed to be able to work from home and couldn't, because of technology is what it boils down to. So we're in a technology age. So all of our kiddos should be able to have access to school stuff, and we shouldn't have to run around and drop off, Wi-Fi cards and all these things. And, at this day and age, I think we're a small enough community that if we can pull something like that off, it's just be great for not only our students that's learning and growing, but our residents who are now needing to be able to work from home or supplement income to have additional income without having to have that the extra expense of having to pay for internet or what have you. So Ms. Powdrill had most of those items already on her, just from her research. She already had, the palette for how do we make those things happen. And now it's just a matter of, like she mentioned earlier, who's the resource, who's the connect points. And she already, rattled off some names that she has been in contact with. And, we don't know how it's going to pan out, but now we're actually going into the realm of making some of these plans a reality. And so that's what I appreciate. But that's my list, and I'll still be happy to email that out so you'll have it in writing. And then if you can, committee, throughout between now and maybe the next 3 weeks, if there was something that was not said or something that was in a previous, previous committee meeting that was talked about, that's something that you still want to bring aboard, we can look at all those things, but we will have to prioritize because everything can't get done first. So we will definitely have to prioritize, and this committee will help be able to make that prioritization possible, and then we'll begin working from there. Ms. Stinson, did you have a question?
I did. Not really a question, just a comment. I like all your ideas. What I like to do is I always tell the kids at the school, a goal is something that you can achieve. So you pick 3 goals, but you make sure one of those goals is definitely something that you can achieve sooner than later, because it just it keeps you encouraged.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have a whole bunch of goals that we know we can't complete. We need to make sure that, and you do have some of these. That's an easy task to complete. I like these.
Thank you, Ms. Stinson. And those are, once again, and just like you said, to get us in the mode, not that we weren't winning, not that we weren't completing things, but just to get us into the mode and this frame of mind of moving goals and moving plans forward with the way in which Ms. Powdrill is able to do. I think we all learn from it, we all grow from it, and the village will benefit from it. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Childs-Jeters, and I'll come to you, Ms. Powdrill.
Okay, I have 2 things to say. One is that it would be nice if we could plug into the Bill Gates Foundation for the educational piece and the that Wi-Fi thing in the community. And there may be something out there. I know he loves to do that. The second thing is, anyone heard from the Lincoln Heights CDC?
Are we looking to hear from them, or did I?
Well, you should be, because they established that organization in order to do some good within the community, but I haven't heard from them in quite a while.
The Lincoln Heights CDC, we have a Lincoln Heights CDC?
The CDC that was Pastor Pipers, remember? And Miss Kathy Goodwin-Williams.
But I thought that we didn't really do the CDC. We just had an agreement with the
Millennium Group.
With the Millennium Group.
Yeah, right. Just wanted to know if you heard from them. That's all. They were in the community. They used the village hall to give us some information. They brought in University of Cincinnati. Where are they?
I'm not sure, Ms. Childs-Jeters. I personally have not heard from them, but that's all I can say is I have not heard from them. Ms. Mitchell.
Well, Madam Chair, I would like to just, because I thought about that the other day myself, and I think that the last thing that Ms. Goodwin Williams stated was that they have moved on to another community. So I think we need to find out what they are, what the end agreement is. Are they no longer promoting us? I think we need to find out, because we don't want to make sure, we want to make sure that there's nothing is surfacing and being put out there that they are supposed to be doing. Because even though they say Lincoln Heights CDC, doesn't mean they can't work in another community and still use the name Lincoln Heights CDC. You know, so I, you know, would ask that we ask Ms. Powell to try to find out where they are, even if that means using Mr. Decide. But we need to find out and make sure that even though we didn't have an agreement with them to do anything, that if we have to make it known that there are no ties, we need to do that.
Okay. So who is Reverend Pifus? Was Reverend Pifus the chair or the lead? I heard that name come up.
He was on the committee.
I don't know if he was the chair, either the president. They used it. I'm not sure which one they used there, but
Of the board, he was chair of the
board, and it disappeared. They spent what 4 or 5 years out here talking about this. So when you run into some of your residents, they may ask what is going on with the projects out here. So there was a lot of publicity about it, and they did bring folks into the neighborhood to show us some things. So I just want to know if anybody heard from them. They sort of disappeared.
Okay.
Also,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Stinson.
I'm sorry, Ms. Key.
No, you're fine.
Also with that, because I think they are the ones that secured the garden and the apple orchard, because we may need to relinquish that so that people that want to work on that project can work on that project, because it's like holding up. I think it was that apple orchard over there on that one street down the hill.
On Simmons.
But was it the CDC?
I didn't think it was the CDC.
I think it was the Millennium Group.
Correct.
Well, we just said Millennium Group CDC. We don't know the one and the same, or if they two in the difference.
I was talking about Pastor Pipers, and he was chair of the board or either president of the board. Can't remember which one they used.
He was president of the board, and
the CDC board.
Right. Miss Mitchell was the, I guess, the CEO, if you will. So you're right, Vice Mayor, but we do need to find out. But I think it was the Millennium Group that actually got the grant from Duke Energy to do that, to do the garden
and the permaculture training.
Right, exactly. So, but
how long? We need to find out how long did that last? How longer? Because we have people other people cleaning up that property, and it could be used for what moving forward.
Right.
So we don't have any investment in that piece.
So Ms. Powdrill, and I know you're still doing research to find like who's going to connect with us to do whatever projects. Can we add that to your list of pieces to do to figure out this LHCDC millennial group? Was Miss Donna here during that time? She was here. Okay. Or maybe it's just a phone call to Mr. Decide to find out.
Donna wasn't the village manager then, though. It was Miss
Hopkins.
Miss Hopkins. It was Miss. Can't remember. It was Miss Hopkins.
Okay. So let's get it cleared up. Whatever it is.
I don't want to use Depop to find out information that we could find out if it's going to cost us some change.
You're right,
if this is something that we can find out ourselves, let's figure that out. Even if it takes us calling Miss Goodwin Williams, she didn't leave on like bad terms or nothing.
No, she didn't.
Right. We could call it. Even if she did, we could make a friendly phone call.
Right.
But there's a piece of legislation that outlines this you can look at.
Okay. Mr. Daniels?
Just as far as the garden piece is concerned, all I can say is that just from what I know is that there's been an MOU established between the Lincoln Heights CDC and another organization that's working on the garden. I believe they said they were going to try to present to council where the next month or so, just to give
Is that-
updates on it. So
is
that's
that the-
that's just on the garden piece. So I
That's
believe
on
it
the
was.
Jackson Street Garden.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who's
so
the other organization?
the CDC had the authority to go into an MOU with another organization. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you know the other organization, Mr. Daniels?
I'd rather they come on their own and say their business. So, but
if
yeah,
you know, excuse me, Mr. Daniels, if you know who the MOU was with, and the Lincoln Heights CDC is one of our arms that this group agreed on or council agreed on,
yeah.
should be able to tell us who that MOU was with.
We never
who's the other group who the MOU is working with? When the Jack, so the MOU is with the Lincoln Heights CDC, and then the organization that's going to kind of oversee the garden. So
who is for our research? We just need to know who these people are so that we can.
It's the same. It's the same organization that's been doing it. Like it's the.
Oh, I didn't know. Oh, what's that? I didn't know who you were referring to.
So that's what I'm saying.
The part.
But
okay,
that's the thing. So for the sake of conflict of interest, there's going to be another member of that organization that will present in full detail later on this month on those things. But I'm not going to speak more up on it.
Okay,
I don't know.
Well,
I just
and that's fine. That's fine. But you knew that part that we didn't know. So I appreciate that.
And
okay.
That was brought. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Childs Jeters.
As far as I know, Councilwoman Key, there is no MOU with the CDC.
The village. Okay. The village does not have an MOU with the CDC.
Correct.
So how is the CDC able to go into an MOU with another third party? With property, who owns the property? Put it like that.
Yeah.
Shirley Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. So it's not the village's property.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. All right. That answers my questions for that. I appreciate that. Any more items of discussion on that? We do want to clear that up because what we don't want is we don't want to be moving forward on projects and work and then something creeps up. So I appreciate us having that conversation so we know what we're looking for and we know that we're in the clear. We're not saying that we're doing away with gardens. I like gardens personally. But if the plan is to do something with some of that other property, like Ms. Stinson was mentioning earlier, then we may need to revisit what that might look like. And it may not be right now, but it may be down the road. Yes, sir, Mr. Daniels.
And it's more so just, once again, just for clarity purposes, and this is, once again, this was last year. I don't know what the updates have been, but there was Ms. Joanne came on last month and said that, there was already some investments that are planned to be put into it to, enhance that space as well moving forward next year. So I agree.
To the garden?
Yeah. So I agree. Just making sure that, so I'm just, making sure that the village, any type of nonprofit organization, any type of corporation, I believe it should be a three-part project. So I'm just looking for.
But if it's property that's owned by the resident, that's the resident's choice of what she wants to do with that property.
Yeah, and according to so I'll let the folks.
As long as it fits within our codes. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Childs Jeters, and I'll come to you, Ms. Paldreau.
Mr. Daniels, who is Ms. Joanne?
Ms. Joanne Sawyer
from GE.
She came and spoke at our last council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I heard was that she was working with the village through the village, not through a different organization. So if they were working on the property on Jackson Street, it was under the name of the village. I don't know. I'm asking.
Well, but before you go anywhere, let's ask Ms. Paldreau because she may be able to clear it up. Ms. Paldrew.
So no, I cannot clear that up because
okay. I'm sorry.
That is clarity that I want to pursue. And my point is, I agree that her comment was to work with the village. But if there are properties that are owned by somebody else or a private owner, I don't see how the village can lead in that. The village can only lead on the properties that they own. So that is some clarity that needs to be worked out. And not to say that it can't be done, but whoever is going to lead on that behalf has to lead. I cannot lead on that and the village. My responsibility is what the property ownership of what the village owns. So I want to be clear, and that everybody is clear. Unless somebody else sees this differently, let me know.
No, I think we're aligned, and I think I'll go back to what Mr. Daniel said earlier. He's going to defer more conversation to whoever is going to present from the organization that's doing some of the work. But I do think that going forward from whatever point, and I'm going to say this point, that we need to make sure that we have some clear separations, and we know exactly it can be a Lincoln Heights organization. That doesn't mean it's sponsored by the village of Lincoln Heights and from the work that we're doing. Not saying that we don't want to do the work, and not saying that, we're saying that this work, we don't want to have a part of it. We're just saying we just need to have some clear separation on what is village responsibility and what is nonprofit. Because we have other nonprofits that do work in the village and they do things in the village and what have you. And that's up to them on how they want to do it. But it's not up to our village manager to lead those type of projects unless the council comes together and says, we direct the village manager to do these, or we want the village manager to do those. I'm gonna come back to you, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Childs-Jeters, I thought I saw your hand up. Ms. Childs-Jeters?
Yes, I was gonna say, in order for us not to, we don't want to be liable for being on someone else's property that we shouldn't be on. We're responsible for our property. So if GE is coming over and they are thinking they're working with the village on their property, then that's okay that they do that. But if they're working through, I think Mr. Duran said a third party, I'm not sure, that they must understand that, because we don't want GE to be liable for anything.
And I think that's definitely a conversation we want to have with GE. GE can still work with a nonprofit organization. They can still work with that entity, but we want to make sure that I think they understand it. We just want to make sure that we're very clear on the additional conversations. That's all I'm saying. Did I see another hand up, Mr. Daniels?
Yeah, it was more so just just for the clarity purposes of where both lies stand. You already made it clear is where. Yeah, so nothing else added. Miss Linda just already said it as well. So I'll just second everything else everybody else is saying.
Okay. All right. And we look forward to whoever's representing to come and give us more information on what's going on there. And then making sure that we're clear on.
I did have a question though. So what was the relationship, and is that what we still don't quite understand? What was the relationship between the village and the last organization? That was
the LHCDC. That's what I'm trying to understand, what that relationship was, and if the CDC, and this is my opinion, so this is me speaking, I'm not the committee speaking, this is me speaking as a member of the committee. If the CDC is going into agreement with other entities on behalf of the CDC, that's fine. But if they're going, this is once again me, this is the way I'm thinking right now. But if they're going into agreement with other entities as if they are representing the village of Lincoln Heights, then I have an issue, because we're not. If we haven't,
they do that though. I'm just, how could they do that?
They can. It can happen. They can try to do it. That's and that's what we want to make sure. I'm
just asking, what would that look like? Or were we just talking about in a different situation? We're talking about this situation?
No. Wait a minute. What I'm saying is that because they carry the name Lincoln Heights CDC.
Oh, you're just saying they can break the brand of Lincoln Heights. They
correct.
Lincoln Heights. Yeah, just the same with the track team. Agreed.
Correct.
No, agree with that. No, agree with
correct.
that.
And that's all we're saying, is that if it was not sanctioned by this body, then they can carry the name. Anybody can create a name, Lincoln Heights. They can be the Lincoln Heights running man or whatever. But they are not acting on behalf of the village of Lincoln Heights, and that's what we need to make sure. Because whatever is acting upon the village of Lincoln Heights, the government village of Lincoln Heights, has to come through Ms. Powdrill and the council, or Ms. Powdrill, because it can go through Ms. Powdrill and not even come through council. For instance, if a business wants to move in, they still got to go through the administration department to get a business license. And that doesn't have to come through council. Hold on one second, Mr. Daniels. Hold on, because Ms. Mitchell had her hand up. She's a committee member, so I gotta respect that.
That's fine. No, that's fine.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Mitchell.
I just want to kind of iterate what you said, just the fact that we may have to, as we are doing this investigation, we may have to put a disclaimer out there. That's all I'm saying, that because from my investigation, when I came on council, when the CDC was here, I could not find any memorandum of agreement, memorandum of understanding, or any legislation that said that there was a bond, there was an agreement that we were working with them. So we just might have to put a disclaimer out there.
And did they, once again, this is because of my ignorance. And I'm only asking this for information because I'll go do my own research, and I will. But with the CDC, did they create an official community development corporation?
I would imagine they have a charter and all of that, if they had a board. And I know we did not pay anybody to do anything, so I didn't see any record of that as I did my investigation. So, but I would say that if they had a board, they had several people on their board, that they probably did go through those proper channels, just because, and I will put this out there, just because if you have Pat Gary, who was well known in community development involved, it was done properly.
I believe it. Right.
It was done properly.
And I want to make sure that I say this, because I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea that I'm against LHCDC. I'm not. I'm not against organizations who want to do good in our community. I just want to make sure that we have a line that's defined.
That's right.
As to who does what, who's responsible for what, especially when another organization carries our name. That's all I'm saying. I agree. And I'll do my own research as well. And, we'll be bringing back information so that we know. And even if we have to bring those members in to even speak to committee and answer questions, so that we're very clear. The worst thing in the world is to begin working, doing projects, and get undermined and get cut and get blown up. It's ridiculous. We shouldn't have to continue to do things like that. We want to do what's right for the business. Everybody should be ready to come to the table and draw those lines and stay and everybody in their lanes. That's my that'll be my rule of thumb for the whole year. And I need to stay in mine as well. Yes, sir, Mr. Daniels.
No, I'm just confused. Well, not necessarily, I guess it's everybody's question. So over the past 3 years, when you had the CDC bringing UCDAP, that was not the CDC. We're saying that was the Millennium Group. That we hired Linda Matthews. We had an MOU with Linda Matthews and not Lincoln Heights CDC and Pastor Pipus' organization. Is that what we're?
I don't know.
That's right. That's right. We have it. There's legislation that says that the Millennium Group, not the CDC, but the Millennium Group, will be allowed to go out and seek grants and whatever for the village. And so that's what happened when you got the Duke Energy. Okay, and this happened before I came back on council. The Duke Energy grant for $20,000 to do the garden. And so then it was the Millennium, and it could have been the CDC that said, oh yes, why don't you, University of Cincinnati DAP department, do this? And I would say that actually it was probably the University of Cincinnati who approached the CDC, because it's not the first time that they have done student projects for the village. Right? There was no payment for that with the village. They did that on their own.
So with the public meetings, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we're going to table this conversation in just a minute because we still got to do some more research.
I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine, Mr. Daniels. Ms. Childs-Jeters?
The village hall was used as a place. They needed space, so they used that in order to bring information in and to show the neighborhood what the village could look like. So they did a lot of great work. And like you, Councilwoman Key, I am not against someone bringing something in to make us look better or to develop our community. It's just that we need to know what we can and cannot do. So there has never been a memorandum of agreement. How do I know? Because I constantly ask for there to be a memorandum of understanding and never got it.
Okay.
So I know that that does not exist. What we do have is legislation about the garden, because that was a big issue. I'm sorry about the trees, planting the trees and the garden. So that is what I know.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. So we'll end the conversation. We'll end that conversation at this point. I definitely, because I don't know, and I definitely want to go and do some research, give Ms. Paldro some opportunity to do some research as well. I do appreciate the conversation, because these are the type of conversations that we need to have moving forward with whatever that's out there that's going on, whether it's good or bad. And if we need to incorporate those things in what we're doing, we need to incorporate them and put everybody, just on that right path, so that everybody, once again, is in their lane. So we don't have all these, smoke screens and, potholes and whatever.
I was 100% on board for bringing a new development into the community and was ready. And again, I say part of it was selfish reason, because I wanted my property value to go back up.
I think we all want that.
It
all
kept going
property
down
owners.
and down, but I was ready for it, So it wasn't that I'm against it, just that we never had an agreement, memorandum of understanding.
That's one quick question.
You sure can. Just remember, I think if we continue in the vein in which we're going to be looking at increased property values, and that's one of our goals. Isn't that right, Ms. Paldrill? Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. And recognize increased property values, it brings increase.
Yeah.
That's right. All right, Mr. Daniels, are you going to ask a question, or are you going to make a statement?
No, it's a question. I'm asking a question.
Okay,
who owns
hold on.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It was a question. Who owns the orchard? So who owns the land of the orchard?
I don't know, but we can find that out.
Okay.
I believe.
No, Miss Butts.
Miss Butts?
Miss Butts.
Because I have a tree plant over there.
But
worth more conversation, Mr. Daniels, because we need to figure those things out. We need to have it so that everybody knows. It shouldn't be that one or two people know what's going on. And I want to be transparent with the work that we're doing and the things that we're working on, so that everybody knows what's going on. Ms. Paldro.
And if we're trying to foster a really good relationship with GE, we need to make sure that they know.
Yeah.
We need to protect them and protect ourselves as well. And we're trying to have a strong collaborative relationship, because they don't know.
And protect our nonprofits who want to work with us and who will continue to work with us. We don't want them to feel like, I don't know if I want to work with them, because if you do, this is going to happen. So we're going to put the hard questions out on the table. That's what this committee is for. That's what committee is for, is to do that. So we just got to get through it. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Mitchell.
You know what? Go ahead. You getting ready to go to miscellaneous. I can bring up my question to Ms. Paldro under miscellaneous.
Okay, sure. All right. So we're done on that conversation. We got some research to do. It'll come back up again. Let's bring back hard records, evidence, documents on what we have and what we don't have. Bottom line. Let's share that out through email if we can. If we got those MOUs, let's share it out. If we have that legislation, let's share it out. So that everybody knows exactly what's going on. And if we're missing something and somebody has something that's out there, let's get it out on the table. All right, thank you. Next item is miscellaneous business. Ms. Mitchell, I'll leave with you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Paldrill, when we talk about GE, and it's come up several times, so, we have had relationships with GE in the past, certain organizations within GE. So is this a department or an organization? Like, for instance, years ago, we had the GE Elfins come in and redo some things over at the YMCA, the Smith Flowers Civic Center. And then there's another organization, that group of people who came in and did some things at the elementary school. So is this a department, or is this a particular group within General Electric? So that as we say, oh yeah, GE is working with us. Who, what, I guess it's a gray area for me.
I think and somebody else, if they heard anything different, that when we had Joanne at the council meeting, the last council meeting we had, I got the impression that they were willing to provide us with some of their talent and some of their techniques, which I think are two things that are invaluable, and at hopefully maybe some point Treasure would come. So I think it's a holistic approach. In my opinion, that's what I felt, that the engagement could include like, hey, can you come and do an assessment of my maintenance department? See how they are inefficient, and how can we, and this is no knock on you, Jamal, if you're listening, but how can you make us more efficient? I need a personnel policy or a manual. Do you have someone in your personnel department to help me build this manual that fits the village, not GE, the village? So
Okay,
that's,
so is this from a group of individuals? You know, at one time they had a group called African American something. So is this just a group of people who work for GE who are doing this on their own, or did this come through? I mean, that's just like with the CDC or Millennium Group. Do we have a memorandum of understanding that GE will provide X services for us, or is this just a group of GE employees who have said, hey, we want to offer our services?
so I don't have a specific question to that, but I have a comment on that.
Okay.
I think that anytime you're starting to foster a relationship, let's start with trusting each other and seeing where we can get some quick wins. And then if the relationship, if we feel like this is a mutually beneficial relationship, then let's codify some stuff. Let's write it down to talk about where we be a little bit more strategic. And that's when we talk about where we're going from an economic development strategy perspective, we share that and say, how can you lean into some of these things that we want to do that will ultimately benefit GE? But as far as, is this just the African American community wanting to lean into Lincoln Heights? That conversation predates me coming to, but I can clarify that for you. And I'm sure we're going to be meeting sometime this week or next week. So yes, I would clarify that. But again, my impression is let's just start trusting each other, and let's just start building a relationship with each other. Let's just start doing some good things and not put a nice label on it, but developing that partnership, collaboration with each other, and then maybe get to a point where, yeah, I trust you, you trust me. Let's write something down that makes sense.
Thank you. Ms. Chow's-Jeter. You're welcome, Ms. Mitchell.
I believe these are a group of volunteers who come into not just our community, but other communities and provide service. There's no money involved in this. It has to do with service. They also participated in the after-school program one time at the elementary school. Not the same group, but people from GE, because GE is strong on giving service back to the community. So it's been documented what you do, how much time that they're given to their company. So that's what it is about. And they ought to provide help in the areas where that we probably need strengthening, such as they may have someone that is in their community, maybe on council or vice mayor, and they can come in and help strengthen that piece, or tell you where you can go, give you a list of resources, those type things, and actually provide the program that Mr. Daniels is working with to the community, so you can have information. They give you lots of information.
Thank you, Ms. Chow's-Jeters. Does anyone else have any other miscellaneous items? Ms. Baber?
You have 4 minutes left, madam.
Miss Vice Mayor Stinson.
We were talking about GE's role in the village. I know they come to the school. They have a great program at the school. Is it bad that they come in and wanting to help? Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking,
no.
we love when they
they've
stroll
been
in
there
the
for a
door.
long time.
And you know what? You
yeah.
can feel it in. You know when somebody trying to just be there for the camera. No, they never struck me as those type of people.
And I think Ms. Mitchell was asking a valid question because there has been so many different groups that's done different things. And to me, it sounded like she was asking which group was that Ms. Joyce was. That's what I thought.
Not only that, Madam Chair, is that, we have, because I know that Ms. Sawyer participates in with the health fair that GE sponsors. GE sponsors, which means, okay. So I didn't know if this was a sponsored event, if it's volunteer. I don't have a problem with it at all, but I still wanted to understand how it all fits together. That's the only reason. Like I said, they have been involved with the village on a whole lot of number of things, either by department or by giving money. You know what I'm saying? So, so I've seen them come through many times as long as I've been down there. So that was just my question.
And thank you on that. And I wholeheartedly agree with Ms. Paldro as well. Let's continue to build those relationships as deep as we can to continue to build and work in whatever facet that it makes sense. Ms. Baber, I see you unmute.
Oh yes, I was here. I just I didn't really have anything. I did talk with Ms. Sawyer though.
Okay,
and
good.
I talked with her about some recreation things that I will share with you all on Wednesday.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Baber. I appreciate that. You're welcome. Let's see, Ms. Mitchell.
Baber, I have, yes, thank you. Ms. Key, I just wondered, Ms. Paldro, do we know what's going on at the corner of Stephens and Leggett? Because they started back work again, and I see they're digging. Is that something else going on, or is that Mr. Crawford building his business? Because there was nothing going on, and if he had not completed some time ago, we should have reclaimed that property based on the agreement that he signed when the property was sold. So I just want to make sure that we have the building inspector from the Hamilton County coming out and looking at whatever it is that they're beginning to do.
Ms. Mitchell, would you clarify first which property you were referencing?
I'm talking about on the end, Stephens and Leggett is actually 1055. Right there where Mr. Crawford has the great building and it's supposed to be a restaurant or something.
Okay.
So I think we need to try to find out what's really going on just to know.
For the record, I wanted you to reflect the location. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Paldro. I get to you, Ms. Jeters. I see you.
So we are looking into it, and actually staff and I were out Thursday, and that site was identified. And so we are in the process of digging up some additional information because I looked at it and I said, that just looks so bad. And it's been looking that way since I've been at the village, which is over a month. And so when you see stuff like that, there's typically a problem. So we need to go find out what the problem is and see how we can help or move this along in any way that we can. So yes, we've got our eyes on that as well.
Thank you. Ms. Charles Jeter.
Yes, I need a name first. Ms. Mitchell, who is the person that actually came out and dealt with that piece of property? He's not a code enforcer. He is
Are you talking about Mr. Noyes, Noyes?
What's his first name?
I think it might be John or James.
This is the guy that comes out and check and make sure that it's okay to put it there and deal with it.
You mean Mr. Mercer? You mean Mr. Mercer?
Thank you. Mr. Mercer came to a committee meeting at one time and said to us that as long as he put one nail in it, then he's working on it.
I understand that, but we also have something in the closet when he bought the property. But I'm just concerned just about the way that the trench was dug, and
Do you have to go back to Mr. Mercer?
I guess it's who you would check, but I don't know.
Yeah, some need, it's been a long time. 4 or 5 years.
Well, we'll have Miss Powdrill will do her due diligence and bring back to either committee or council, whichever comes first, to discuss it. So it sounds like we had a reverter clause on it. Do we have a reverter clause on it?
Yeah, we have a reverter clause on all our property.
That's what I thought.
All
right.
Keys.
Anybody? Yes. Who was that? Miss Baber? Yes.
Yeah, I remember when he started that building, that was supposed to be a 2-family. It was supposed to be like an ice cream parlor on the bottom, and then the top was supposed to be a resident.
It was supposed to be a resident.
It's not like that.
When he brought it.
Yeah, when he brought it to council, what we voted on.
Well, what happened was he was supposed to buy it. It was we did zone it commercial. But what he did was when he got the permit for residential, and it wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be business. So it was never supposed to be something on, like a mixed use.
It was supposed to be mixed use because it was supposed to be something up top. It was supposed to be an ice cream parlor on the bottom and then a residence up top. Well, at any rate,
when he signed the agreement, and he brought the check down, I was the acting manager. It was supposed to be an ice cream parlor where they would also sell chicken. But when he came and applied for the permit, he was asking for residential, and that is commercial.
Well, so when he came in front of council, it was supposed to be for a restaurant at the bottom and a residence up top.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we definitely can pull the record. So, Ms. Powdrill, right?
Get with Mr. Mercer, right?
Ms. Powdrill, if you could pull the permit, if you could. We also want to see what we agreed on from council, if you could. Once again, Miss, and maybe the clerk can do some research, and if she can find it, whatever we agreed on from council, and just figure out where we are now, so we can.
And Mr. Decide, because he would have transfer the deed and all of that.
Yep.
Madam Chair.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
What year would that have been, Ms. Mitchell?
That was 2015, 16. Okay.
That's
when did I leave? I think it was
2015 was your last year, and then you came back.
That's when it was. That was August. Okay. August of 2015. August, September.
Well, thank you. Well, we'll give them some time to pull that together. If we're not asking for it tomorrow, but when you can get it, we'd like to be able to revisit that to find out where we are. Because that is, if he came to council and asked for one thing, and then he came in and got something else, and then he isn't doing what he was supposed to do, we got to have some conversations. And I don't know who owns the building. I don't know. I wasn't here, but we need to have some conversations. Anybody else miscellaneous business? If not, who was that? I'm sorry. I know. I'm trying to wrap it up. You see me trying to wrap it up. We did very good though. I think we got a lot accomplished and discussed.
Yeah.
Any announcements? You on mute, Vice Mayor?
Yeah. Yes, tomorrow's Respect My Block meeting begins at 6 p.m. Everybody on council should have a link to the Zoom.
Thank you. Anyone else?
And then recreation meeting is on January the 6th, which is Wednesday at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? I don't have any announcements. We're looking for a motion to adjourn then.
So move.
Second. It's been properly moved to second. Wait a minute. Miss Brenda, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, who second?
I did.
Okay.
It's been properly moved in second. We're adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.